Welcome back. As Canada looks to legalize marijuana next year, how will it affect day-to-day life across the country? In Washington State, it's been legal for the last 5 years. Tom Walsh is in Bellingham looking at how police are dealing with pot-smoking drivers.
We thought there would be just marijuana being smoked all over the streets, numerous impaired drivers that we couldn't handle possibly.
Officer Sarad was seriously worried when pot became legalized in Washington 5 years ago. The Bellingham police officer specializes in DUIs and was concerned his force wasn't ready for the change in law.
My opinion is at the time we didn't feel like we were ready. And it was a time that we were unsure of ourselves in regards to, specifically for me, for DUI enforcement. We knew we'd have our hands full. I think once the initiative passed, once things calmed down, once people got their heads wrapped around the fact that it was legalized, we were able to focus on DUI enforcement.
As Canada looks to legalize recreational use of marijuana next year, RCMP across the country will face similar issues that US law enforcement face, notably that there is currently no immediate roadside test that can accurately measure whether someone is high or not. This is the standard field breathalyzer test. It's used to determine how much alcohol I have in my body. And you'll be glad to know the answer is 0. However, there's not an equivalent for testing marijuana, and therefore police here have to use more traditional methods.
First off is the odor. Much like alcohol, DUI is going to get that odor of marijuana in the car. And from there, I go right to the eyes again. Typically, not all the time, but typically marijuana, someone who used marijuana recently will have dilated pupils. From there, I'm looking at their tongue, see if there's a film on their tongue, any contraband in the vehicle.
In Washington and other US states where pot is legal, you can operate a motor vehicle with up to 5 nanograms of cannabis in your system. However, police can only determine this if drivers consent to a blood sample, and even then, results won't come back for 6 to 8 weeks. For the meantime, Sergeant Sarad uses the standard field sobriety tests, as well as his own methods, to determine whether a driver is over the limit or not. It's a process which, according to one local DUI attorney, is fraught with errors.
Traditionally, field sobriety tests are done on the side of the road. They are universally accepted as a good indicator that it's possible that a person's over the legal limit or affected by alcohol. They've been validated for alcohol. They've never been validated for THC consumption or use.
Here in Canada, the country is already gearing up for the potential influx of cannabis commuters. And while there are still many procedural issues to be ironed out before it occurs, across the border, legalization of marijuana hasn't affected the number of DUI cases.
To date, since the legalization, I have litigated and dealt with less cases than I did prior to its legalization. People do what they do. And just because something becomes legal or isn't legal isn't going to stop your average person that regularly smokes and drives, for instance.
Tom Walsh, City News, Vancouver.